has a deadly land dispute finally been resolved? Muslims and Hindus both lay claim to this religious site, but India's top court has handed it over to Hindus. Was the ruling fair, or is India's Muslim minority being marginalised? I'm Imran Garda, and today's newsmaker is the ruling over the holy site in Ayodhya. In 1992, Hindu hardliners tore down a centuries-old mosque in Ayodhya, northern India. It led to one of the worst religious riots the country has ever seen, with around 2,000 people killed. To this day, the site is home to one of India's most polarizing disputes. Hindus believe it's the birthplace of one of their most revered deities, Lord Ram, while Muslims claim they'd been praying at the Babri Mosque for generations. So, who should it belong to? After decades of legal battles, India's Supreme Court finally delivered its verdict. Hindus will control the site and a temple can now be constructed. The judgment angered many Muslims. And as Haider Abbasi explains, even the court's concession to let them build a mosque a few kilometers away may not be enough to resolve this row.
India's Hindus rejoice. For decades, they've coveted a disputed holy site. Now the Supreme Court says they can have it.
The respected Supreme Court has today delivered a historic verdict, and everyone should accept the verdict and will have to accept it.
The judgment says a Hindu temple can be built there. The land is in the northeastern city of Ayodhya and has been contested by Hindus and Muslims. For more than 400 years, the Babri Mosque stood there. But in 1992, it was torn down by a mob of Hindu extremists. The demolition triggered riots, leaving more than 2,000 people, mostly Muslims, dead. Many Hindus believe the site is the birthplace of their deity, Lord Ram. They say the mosque was built on the ruins of a temple that was destroyed by Muslims. The Supreme Court has ruled that 5 acres should be allocated to Muslims to build a mosque at another site in Ayodhya. But for some Muslims, this isn't enough.
Even if they offer us 100 acres of land, we won't take it. The government has already taken 66 acres of our land, then what are they trying to give us as alms?
In 2014, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi made an election promise to build a temple in Ayodhya. But he later decided to wait for the Supreme Court's ruling. Since he came to power, there's been a surge in Hindu nationalism in India, and minorities are feeling the pressure. Hindu mobs have killed people, mainly Muslims, accused of selling cattle. Cows are sacred in Hinduism. There's also been a drive to remove what India's government calls undocumented migrants from the northeastern state of Assam. Nearly 2 million people have been left off the National Register of Citizens, effectively rendering them stateless. Most are Muslims. And then there's Muslim-majority Kashmir. India revoked its semi-autonomous status in August, and it's been under a security and communication lockdown since. So has this Supreme Court ruling solved a land dispute or driven a further wedge between India's religious communities? Haider Abbasi, The Newsmakers.
Okay, let's unpack the verdict and its implications now and go to Mumbai, where we're joined by Syed Zafar Islam. He's a spokesman for India's ruling BJP. And Vishnu Shankar Jain is in New Delhi. He's a lawyer representing the right-wing Hindu Mahasabha party. It's good to have you both on the program. We're looking forward to having Waris Pathan join us in a few moments if he can make it. So just bear that in mind. Let me start with you, Vishnu. Is it the end of the dispute for you?
I think it's a new beginning because when we have analyzed this judgment, which is running into 1075 pages, this dispute and this judgment has given birth to so many disputes and so many contradictions. Because if we analyze the findings of this judgment per se, there are various contradictions in the judgment, because the claim of the Hindus before the Supreme Court was that there was a pre-existing temple which was demolished by Emperor Babur in 1528, and after demolition of a pre-existing temple, a so-called mosque was created, and then the Hindus came back into possession. But when we run through the pages of the judgment, the findings of the Supreme Court are completely different from what the case of Hindus was before the Supreme Court. And if we go vice versa, if we analyze the case of Muslims, the findings of the Supreme Court are contradictory so far as the case of Muslims are also concerned, because the Supreme Court at one place of the judgment has admitted that yes, there was a mosque, but at the other hand, when they went to the giving of the final relief, they granted them 5 acres apart from the disputed area. So if the legal question which arises for consideration for everybody on this panel and for across the viewers, that if the Muslims were having a claim in the disputed land, then why 5 acres is given to them apart from the disputed area? That is number one, which I wanted to make clear at the first beginning.
Okay, I want to understand that fully.
Has,
okay, just a second. I want to understand what you mean fully. Are you not happy about the 5 acres that were given to Muslims to get another plot and to create a place of worship?
Actually, the party which I represent is not happy with the 5 acres of land given to the Muslims, because our case before the Supreme Court was that whatever has been done by Babur in 1528, whatever he has shown to this country by the might of sword, must be rectified by the Supreme Court by the power of pen. And this was the case where the Supreme Court has to deliver the verdict by saying that pen is mightier than the sword.
So you'd like to continue this dispute by going back to 1528 and saying you took it from us?
We are still analyzing the judgment.
The judgment saying here's a compromise. There will be a Hindu temple being built on this.
But there is a constitution.
Okay, but the judgment saying you'll get a temple, but you're still unhappy that the other side will get a place of worship a few kilometers away. Do you understand how people would listen to this and think that you're really inflexible when it comes to this and you want no rights for the minorities?
See, the work of a lawyer and an attorney is to represent his client, and the work of the client is represent the masses. The masses which I represent are unhappy by certain portions of this judgment, because our case before the Supreme Court was that pen is mightier than the sword, and whatever land has been given to the Muslim community
but it's based on a judgment that the pen.
That's the whole point.
But it's based on a judgment saying that in 1528 the rights of locals were taken away. Therefore, now that you're the majority, you want to take the rights away of locals in 2019 who live there and who have lived there and worshipped there for hundreds of years.
I'll respond to that. My constitution provides me a right to review. If there's any finding in the judgment which is inconsistent with the case of the Muslims or the Hindus, I have a right under my constitutional scheme to file a review, and that's what my party is analyzing personally and per se, because if the judgment...
Nobody's questioning your rights. I'm questioning what's behind your decision to be unhappy with the judgment. I want to go to Syed Zafar Islam now, because Syed Zafar Islam, you represent the ruling party. Has this been finessed in the way that you would like it to be finessed? Do you think that there will be an element of closure? It will take the sting out of potential religious and communal violence down the road? Has this been a good day?
Well, let me tell you a few things which is very important. I heard my friend who is representing Hindu Mahasabha. I think he is in a minority, because every single Indian, be it from Muslim or Hindu community, they have welcomed this decision purely because it was outstanding for so long, and everybody wanted a resolution, and everyone knows. And the Supreme Court judgment does specify not once, many times, that this mosque was not built on a vacant land. Underneath, there was a non-Islamic structure, and that suggests that there was some structure. And in India, it was a Hindu community which is actually used to build a temple, and that has been at that point in time the general of Babur had broken those structure and built a mosque. Something which has also been a part of the judgment, and that's why it is important that every Indian Muslim, I would say, because I come from the Muslim community, and we have welcomed this decision because it was unnecessarily creating friction, which we certainly didn't want. And you must compliment all the community members, be it Muslim and the Hindu community, They all welcome the decision. There was absolutely no rift, no friction, and everybody wants that the temple should be built.
But Zafar, when we after the judgment, we saw that the government deployed 5,000 paramilitary forces, right, to prevent attacks on Muslims, who are a very small minority in that community. They make up a small percentage of the more than 50,000 people, right? So it can't necessarily be the happy event that you're saying it is if the government has to deploy 5,000 CRPF.
Correct.
No, let me give you the right perspective. I come from a Muslim community. I know exactly, and if you can see my tweet.
Okay, but Zafar, you come from the Muslim community and you represent the BJP.
Let me,
How many people in India come from the Muslim community and represent the BJP?
Allow me to.
Okay,
allow
go
me
ahead.
to complete. If you just see my tweet, 1 year, 10 days ago, I had sent a tweet. I had tweeted one fact, which has actually come true, that Muslim, as per Islamic law, the mosque can be built anywhere, not necessarily in one particular location, and everyone knows that even in a holy place like Mecca and Medina, the mosque has been moved from one place to give way to a road or for any other structure to build there, and mosque has been built in somewhere else.
I guess
here also, same logic applies. Same logic
hold on.
applies.
I guess this is not Al-Aqsa and it's not Medina and it's not Mecca, granted, right? But maybe if we can fast forward from 1528 to 1992, and I want to go to Vishnu here, and I think at the heart of this all, and something that was... One second, Zafar, one second, we'll come back to you in a second. If I want to just fast forward to 1992, and one thing, Vishnu, I think that a lot of people would maybe feel positive about, that came from the ruling, is that we had the court saying that what happened in 1992 was wrong. There was a riot and people were lynched and butchered. More than 2,000 people were lynched and butchered as a result of Hindu mobs attacking the mosque. Do you accept that part of it?
Absolutely right. You have asked a very pertinent question, and precisely that was the point which I was trying to make before Mr. Zafar Islam started speaking. The point is this, that's why I'm saying that this judgment is self-contradictory, because it will have major and serious implications on the criminal case which is pending in Lucknow. Because in Lucknow, the case of the accused before the trial court is that it was not a mosque which was demolished. And now, as per the law which is governing this country, the law is very clear. The finding of the civil court is binding on criminal court. So once the civil court and once the 5 judges of the Supreme Court come up with a categorical finding that yes, this was a mosque which was demolished by Hindus, it will have serious implications for the criminal case which is pending in Lucknow, and many people will be punished there.
Vishnu, whatever you want to call it, it was a place of worship for Muslims. Let's take the semantics out of it. Let's strip it away. Let's take the word mosque and throw it away. It was a place of worship for Muslims, and in 1992, more than 2,000 people were killed. Do you accept that what the Hindu mobs did in 1992 was wrong?
See, according to me, there was nothing like that which was done in 1992, and that's what precisely our case is before the criminal court. But the way this entire incident has been picturized.
Who killed those people?
I don't think that there was any killing or something. There's a report by the Chief Minister, that sitting Chief Minister, Mr. Kalyan Singh. He said that yes, the Kar Sevaks are on the disputed structure. They have demolished it, but there are no incidents of violence. But if you have some adverse reports,
this is very revealing.
I'm not aware of it.
I was not aware that your views were this absurd when it comes to this, because you're denying the death of 2,000 people. The Prime Minister of India is talking about...
According to you, my views can be absurd. According to me, your views can be absurd. But I am here to tell you my viewpoint.
What happened to the 2,000
And if you don't believe with my viewpoint, then you can ask me to leave the show. I have no problem.
No, I don't want you to leave the show, because I think your mindset's quite revealing. I have a right to...
You have no right to call my views as absurd.
I think they're absurd.
You have no right to call my views as absurd. You have called me as a panelist before to tell me my views.
You have every right to share your views.
Certainly. You are trying to put your words in my mouth. You are saying in 1992, 2,000 people were killed. How am I how will I know that fact that 2,000 people were killed by Hindu mob? And this is a very sensitive topic. You can't blame a particular incident on a community itself.
Certainly. Vishnu, you have every right to share your views. And I have every right to unpack those views, analyze them, and if you're denying the death of more than 2,000 people, which is completely established by everyone in India right now, except your group,
but you are saying that Hindus are killed.
I have a right to say your views are
absurd. My difference of opinion with you is when you are saying that...
Oh, so now they were killed, but Hindus didn't kill them.
Okay. When you say Hindus have killed 2,000 Muslims,
so you accept that
agree.
Okay, so you accept that 2,000 were killed. That's great. And so now we can move beyond absurd just to ideology.
Oh, you don't know.
Okay, well,
that whether there
as a
was
lawyer
violence
involved,
in 1992.
Okay,
and
so as a lawyer involved in the story,
that's not the topic of discussion also today.
As a lawyer involved in this
story,
story,
me to discuss Ayodhya verdict
Vishnu,
and
as
not
a lawyer,
1992 riots.
As a lawyer involved in this story, I would advise you to look into it because it might help your credibility the next time you appear on a panel.
No, definitely I know it. But today you have called me to discuss the Ayodhya verdict and not 1992 riots.
Yes,
you can ask your guest coordinator. You have asked me to come here to discuss Ayodhya verdict and not 1992 riots. Because if you will talk of 1992, I will talk of 1528. Have you read Babarnama? How many Hindus were butchered, which Babar has mentioned himself in Babarnama?
Are you finished?
Sir, you can't look at history from one viewpoint. You have to look history as a whole.
I've got good news.
In Babarnama, Babar's own autobiography, he has written that he has butchered Hindus and the pillars of heads were made. But I'm not going to discuss all these things because today you called me here only to discuss Ayodhya verdict, not 1992 rights, sir.
Vishnu, I've got good news. Waris Pathan has joined the panel. Waris Pathan, you've been listening to hopefully some of what preceded you. Come in and wait in. Is this a good verdict, Waris?
According to me,
well, let me tell you, I am a lawyer as well, so
Vishnu, give the man a chance.
Supreme
Vishnu.
Court and will keep respecting the Honorable Supreme Court. But as Mr. J.S. Verma, who was the earlier Supreme Court judge, has stated that Supreme Court is supreme, but not infallible. I agree with his opinion.
Correct.
Now the verdict is out. The All India Muslim Personal Law Board, which was defending one of the plaintiffs in the Babri Masjid case before the Honorable Supreme Court, has said and has opined that there are contradictions in the judgment. Like one of them is that the Supreme Court has held that in 1992, the masjid was illegally demolished. I concur with the opinion. The second point is that in the year 1949, some idols were put there, which was illegal. I concur with the opinion. But there are certain things in the judgment wherein I feel, in my opinion, because the Constitution has given me right, that if I feel that there is something wrong, I should raise my voice, I can give my opinion, is that the Supreme Court has given 5 acres of land to the Muslims to build a mosque. According to me, it's not proper. See, it was our legal fight for the masjid. We were fighting it legally, and we don't want any donation that take 5 acre land and build a mosque. We don't want that. I think Muslims in country are capable of building mosque, taking 10 acres of land. So this is what I feel, in my opinion, is not proper. So I go along with the opinion which is formed by the All India Muslim Personal Law Board. And if their view, they feel that we should go for a review, I am of the opinion that, okay, we are together. But as of now, the judgment has come. And I was just listening to the panelist who was just earlier before me, and he was saying that the issue does not go on with the 1992 demolition. Let me tell you, Honorable Judge of the Supreme Court, Mr. Ganguly, who was earlier, he said that had there been a mosque, would the Supreme Court direct it to be demolished? What would have happened then?
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay, so
1992 was the black day in the history of the country. Wherein some hooligans, they went there and demolished the mosque, and they are facing charges for the demolition of the mosque.
No,
so let me remind my learned friend who was just before me, saying that this has nothing to do with the 1992. No, sir. There is a case going on in the country against the perpetrators of the heinous crime.
What happened in 1528? This is precisely our case.
6
That
December
whatever has happened in 1528 has to be restored.
Advani, for
you are saying on 6 December 1992 there was a mosque, and I am saying that in 1528 there was a temple.
Okay,
so that's what precisely has to be decided.
For the sake of clarity and bringing the temperature down a little bit, I want to bring Syed Zafar Islam in. Okay, certainly. Waris, I want to bring Syed Zafar Islam in here because I want to pose it to Zafar. Zafar, Waris contextualizing it here, saying it's not enough because the reward is not justice. The reward of 5 acres is not justice, and it's not akin to proper justice for the people who lost their lives and the people who lost their place of worship. Your response to that?
See, Waris Pathan and his leader, Mr. Asauddin Owaisi, they have always used Muslim community for pursuing their political ambition. And I think nobody in the country, barring a few small minority, give importance to this political party and even listen to the viewpoint of Waris Pathan and company or his leaders. Because they are always have one agenda to divide the society and use Muslim community as hostage for pursuing their own goal. I mean, this is something which they have done. And I will always say that Muslim community and even the Sunni Waqf board has welcomed the decision. They were not part of that in Supreme Court. It is the Sunni Waqf board who was actually pursuing
so
this
let
case.
me pose
And
that
they
to
have welcomed
Waris.
the decision.
So
They
let
are
me
not
pose
going
that
for
to
any
Waris.
review.
Okay, so Syed Zafar, let me pose that to Waris. Waris, we have Zafar Jilani from the Sunni Waqf board, their lawyer, saying, and I quote, "The judgment is not satisfactory, but we respect it. We will have discussions and then decide further course of action." It's not quite the condemnation that you're giving the judgment. So why are you less happy than the Sunni Waqf board who are at the heart of this?
No, let me tell you, I concur with the opinion which is formed by Mr. Zafar Jilani, who was the lawyer for the All India Muslim Personal Law Board. And we say that we are not satisfied with the judgment. We are not satisfied by the way in which 5-acre land is being given to the Muslims to build a mosque, because we were fighting a legal battle. And there are contradictions, as I earlier also said. And had there been a mosque present, would the Supreme Court give such kind of an order right now? No. That is why we are reading the judgment. I have already read the judgment, which runs into 1,045 pages. And it is now for the lawyers of the Muslim Personal Law Board to decide whether to go in review of the judgment or to accept. But let me tell you one thing very, very clear. Here, the Supreme Court is supreme, sir. I don't say I respect the Honorable Supreme Court. I am a lawyer myself, and I will keep respecting the Honorable Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court is supreme, but it is not infallible. Let me tell you, it is not infallible. And another judge of the Honorable Supreme Court, Mr. Ganguly, also concurs with my view. He also said that yes, had there been a mosque present, the Supreme Court would not have told them to demolish.
I want
now
us to
today
listen
they
to...
have formed a trust. They have given the trust to form
Waris?
a temple. Now those people who are responsible for the demolition of the Babri Masjid, do you expect what a kind of justice would happen if they go and build a temple there? First you come to my place, you demolish it, and now you claim that, okay, you will go and build a temple there. So is this justice? This is why I say I am not satisfied. And the Constitution, sir, has given me a right to make a free and fair speech. If I am not satisfied, I can raise my voice. I can give my opinion.
Certainly.
This is not amounting to contempt of any court's
Certainly.
order.
And nobody said this is contempt of court. I'm asking why
Zafar may be having a different
why you disagree
opinion.
with it.
I'm
Okay.
having a different
So
opinion. Zafar goes with the ideology of Hindutva, of the BJP, and I don't go with them. I don't follow
Waris,
the
give me a chance
ideology
to
of
ask-
Hindutva.
give me a
The
chance to
judgment
ask
was
Syed
not
Zafar
on the
Islam.
basis of fact, but it was mostly on the basis of faith.
Okay,
this is what I feel.
So Waris, let me pose that question to Syed Zafar Islam, because we have the Archaeological Survey of India, the ASI, providing evidence, right, saying that the remains or the foundations of the building, they were not Islamic. Now, that's very tricky terrain here, because you have archaeologists going in, well, they say before it was a mosque, it wasn't Islamic, but if you want to go far back, I mean, I know our other guest went to 1528, you go further back, you find it wasn't Hindu, you go further back, it was something else, right? With that in mind, is the government instrumentalizing scientists to push a faith-based agenda? Because how does an archaeologist get to decide that something was not Islamic? What happens to it? What happened to it before it was Hindu?
Let me tell you, Mr. Imran, that the judgment also is very clearly states that the judgment, the verdict is not based on faith, but based on evidence. And evidence suggests that the mosque was not built on vacant land, but the structure was demolished and it was un-Islamic, the structure. And that is something which has been very clearly, the evidence suggests, and that is why there is no board, it is no more a bone of contention. In fact, let me tell you, both the representative, whether it's Vishnu or Waris Pathan, both are in the minority in India, because both Hindu community and Muslim community has welcomed this. And there is a peace. Everybody is happy that it is behind us, and the sentiments of both Muslim and Hindu community have been somehow, even based on evidence, have been addressed by the verdict of the Supreme Court. Because Muslim, as Islam, as a practicing Muslim, I know that mosque can be built anywhere, but the Hindu philosophy and Hindu religion does not allow the temple to be built everywhere. So that is the differentiating factor between us and them. So I think that everybody has welcomed this, and there is no community member who is actually making any statement which is contrary to what I am making. Even if you suggest that I am from the ruling party, still every single
Zafar.
Muslim clerics and leaders have welcomed this decision, barring likes of Waris Pathan and his boss, because they have to play politics everywhere.
Zafar,
they have to
I'm out of time.
politicize, otherwise their existence will be at
Zafar, I'm
stake.
out of time. Waris, I'm out of time. Vishnu, I'm out of time. It's a contentious debate. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.